he has. Now, when we do training with our animals, you may, depending on who you talk to, you may hear that they have primary trainers, or this is my animal. We used to, when I first started in this department, we kind of really structured the training program. We did, at that time, develop primary trainers. However, we learned very quickly that it resulted in two problems. One became possession. It's like, that's my animal. It's like, well, no, it's not your animal, it's our animal, we all work together. However, the possession thing became a real problem, especially with certain keepers. And all it takes is one keeper to be like, oh, no, that's mine, you can't do that. It's like, really? But anyway, so that was one problem. And the next problem we realized too is like, well, if you have to do something with an animal and they're only trained by this particular person, then all of a sudden you have a breakdown of training because someone else sits in front of them, trains, and they don't perform well with certain behaviors. That all being said, if you have an animal that wants food, you sit down, you train with them, they're probably going to train. But regardless of that, we did decide to eliminate the whole primary trainer. But what we do now is we do a individual trainer for certain behaviors. Like if we have a behavior we're trying to, a new behavior that we're trying to shape. So all of my trainers are involved with training all the animals at any given time. We have what's called a list of mastered behaviors, behaviors that all the animals know. The criteria we want for those behaviors, the trainer knows the criteria, the animal knows the criteria, what's expected of them. So they're called mastered behaviors. And then we have groups of behaviors that are called in shaping. And those are the behaviors that trainer A might be only the one working on them because they're trying to develop the criteria. This is the criteria we want for this behavior. You have to meet that, you have to make that criteria happen. And then once that trainer believes that behavior is mastered, like we could say mastered behaviors, then they open it up for other trainers to become involved. So what they have to do is they have to get the animal used to first that behavior on a cue. Usually we do use verbal cues, but I think they listen more to visual cues. They focus more on visual cues. So everything we have, while it does have a verbal cue, it also has a physical cue. So the individual keeper who is working on one particular shaping behavior, they will introduce that visual cue, and then they can pass it on once they feel like that animal's mastered that behavior. And then again, it becomes a maintenance behavior or a behavior that everybody can work on training. So there are animals throughout the department with individual trainers that each work on a certain behavior for them. That's really the only way you're going to become a trainer. You can't become a good animal trainer if you're just, my son can come down here and train everyone. My son can come down here and train Tubby. Well, he's not here anymore, Tattoo. Because they know the behaviors, they know the cues. So my point is, that doesn't mean he's an animal trainer. That means he can work with an animal that's trained. To me, there's a big difference. So when you get involved with animal training, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm an animal trainer. It's like, well, you're not really an animal trainer, but if you want to think that, that's okay. So it takes some skill, it takes some practice, it takes some training of yourself from your peers. And to me, the only way to become a better animal trainer is to have to shape a behavior and recognize the mistakes you're making, recognize what it takes to get to a certain behavior. And that's how you become an animal trainer, by understanding the concepts of animal training. Now, am I the best teacher of animal training? Absolutely not. I would never claim to be the best trainer in my department, nor would I ever claim to be the best person that should train a new trainer to become a trainer. I don't have that skill. Can I train the animals? Can I understand the concepts myself to apply them with animal training? Can I recognize my mistakes? Absolutely. So therefore, I train, I don't teach my trainers. I have a person on my department who actually does that for me. I don't know if you guys know who Erica Bernhardt is. Erica's on my crew. You probably know Erica. My lead keeper, my gorilla primary. I'm sure you probably see her. Is she blonde hair? No, that's KP. Erica has dark hair. She usually wears it in a ponytail. But anyway, she's my gorilla primary, and she is also my training coordinator. So when I have new keepers that start, they go through what we call training boot camp, where Erica starts them from ground zero, basics, absolute basics of training, no matter where you used to be, no matter what you used to do in regards to animal training. You start with the basics with Erica, and she then critiques your training, teaches you what she knows, how she wants you to train our animals. And my point is, that's her responsibility, not my responsibility. Right. Because she has the ability to do that. I don't necessarily have that. I'm not a teacher in that respect when it comes to doing animal training. So, and I think that's what makes a good animal training team is to have an individual that actually teaches you how to do it.
Exactly.
Like when I first started in the department, I was simply told, I started at Sea Lions. I mean, I started on this crew, but training, I started at Sea Lions. And they said, okay, this is how you do open, this is how you do flipper. And I was like, okay, well, sure enough, like I had mentioned, I went out there and I was like, flipper, and they all did this. But that didn't necessarily help me evolve into a better trainer. So, but that's how we get our people to grow, is to kind of have one-on-one
When they're coming back in.
When they're coming back down, you know, like for the winter, and they know that, oh, we're going to be down here now. So then it's usually a little slower. And then again, same thing, like sometimes they'll transfer better for certain keepers. Other keepers, they'll dick around with. So
They know they can do it, that's why.
They know they can, right? So, but yeah.
Just like with the giraffe, they know.
Right, right.
They're a little bit harder, I'm sure, to transfer than an orangutan or a gorilla. Do you still have the window smacker?
Oh yeah, he's still here. He's probably down there somewhere.
Of course, he always hides behind that.
This is Tattoo, this is Nagoma, and this Kamito must be down there somewhere.
Has the electric wire down there stopped a good portion of it?
It stopped all of it.
Because we've seen
And you
it
built
happen
the hill
up
up a
that
little too.
particular window, yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen it.
there's a bunny.
You know what's funny? That bunny, stupid bunny. That bunny actually comes into our building,
Does it really?
walks through our hallway, and ends up in the other gorilla yard. Like, we'll walk around the corner, it's like, dude, what are you doing in here? They're like, see you later, and he goes into the other yard.
Gosh, that is too cute. Well, there was that
it is
one.
kinda funny.
It was a couple winters ago. You guys had a red fox out here.
Yeah, I think they got him out of there. We're not real sure how he did it.
Yeah, I know. It was weird because it was in the winter time that we saw him, and Jordan and I, my daughter, found a keeper, and we're like, did you know that there is a red? And they're like, yeah, we know. We're trying to trap him to get him out, but yes, we are aware. And I'm like, okay, I don't want a gorilla out there hurting him. How is Rosie doing? Yeah, Rosie.
Rosie's good. I saw Rosie last October. I went on a little road trip to a few different southern zoos, and North Carolina was one of them. I believe there's another youngster there now, because Sadari doesn't pay any attention to Rosie anymore.
Right.
But I'm
Of
pretty
course
sure,
not.
I'm pretty sure there's a fourth baby down there now.
That she's helping
that
with.
she kind of,
She's such a good girl.
yeah, she was a good girl.
I remember Hadari, him and I would I'd come down around here too after work, and he'd see me and go knock on the glass, or I'd be sitting there, kind of glance over, and he'd start charging, we'd kind of do a little shoulder barge.
Yeah, he was a good girl, and I can tell you.
Well, then I got a couple of nice pictures of him and Masuba, that was kind of cool. So.
He's big now, Hadari.
Is it?